Hi guys, this is Unders, and today we're going to have a little look at something you can do in Logic that will help you out a lot with timing things like reverbs and delays. You can also use it for things like compression timing as well. So what we're going to look at today is just setting up a reverb and getting the right sort of timings and how I would work that out normally so that it sits nicer in the track. So if we open up the Lexicon here, now what's really useful about this is it will help you free up a lot of space in your mix while still giving instruments their own space. Now this Lexicon is just sat on the piano chords that you can hear within the track. So if we play it here, and this is all this Lexicon sat on. If I disable it, there's some reverb on the sounds themselves. If we add that in, just gives it another sense of its own space. Now I've set this up already how I would like it in the track, but what I'm going to go over is how I went about it and how I sort of came to these parameters and why that works. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy another instance here, and we'll just pretty much default it. So I've got mine here, and if we can, I don't know if default here will work. No. Okay. Well, ignoring that, let's do this and work it out. Boom. Okay, so in Logic, if you go into the Info tab, you can do that by pressing I, or tap the little I up here on the left. Now within that, you're going to have a little More drop down menu. It doesn't really matter what channel you've got selected in this case for what we're going to do. If you go to this bit here that says delay, it will bring up delay times relevant to your BPM. So if we swap this up here, we can see that this track BPM is 174. It's going to give me the musical divisions of 174 BPM in useful format. In this case, what we want is the milliseconds format. So if you want to understand roughly what's going on, 1/4, that's 4 beats over 1 bar. So if you were listening to house music, sort of the current EDM genre type things, you'll be 1 kick on every beat. So that's 4 hits per bar. That is the standard 1/4. It lets us know that a 1/4 happens in 344.8 milliseconds. Okay. These are important because of how the sounds and that are going to work within your track. If we have, for example, this 63.3 second reverb, it's going to become very, very full of sound and it will muddy up the mix. In fact, we'll have a listen to how this is going to behave. Now that's a really extreme example, but it's the sort of thing that can happen when you've got multiple reverbs and they're all layering over each other and they're going on too long. It sounds great, but in the mix it doesn't really work. You need to hone it down and get it so it's responding in the right way. Now what I will generally do, depending on the sort of track I'm working on, is work out what a good room time is for a reverb. Room time is the overall time it takes for the sound to depreciate. Now 1/4 is generally quite a good one. So if you're doing house music, every kick that sound triggers that reverb, so say on the beat, it will have faded by the time the next one comes in. That frees up the space so you've not got a bunch of frequency build up and it's faded off each time, but still gives enough space. Now it's similar with drum and bass because you've got a syncopated kick and a snare on every beat. So if we were to look at that on here, that's going to be 344.8. You see on my one I've got a 368. I was giving it a little bit more because it was fading away. So there's still some subjectivity. You still need to listen to it and work out what's going to sound best. So if we drag this down, it's going to be our room time. Now we won't get this spot on, but we will get it somewhere close. There you go, we'll go with 342. Okay, well, since I messed that up with the pre-delay, we'll look at the pre-delay as well. Now the one I've been using, I've got set up as 21 milliseconds. Now I know in drum and bass that is normally around 1/16. I think it'll be slightly different to that, but it's as close as you can get with a Lexicon. Where are we on here? 1/16? No, 1/64, sorry. Yeah, 21.6. So that 1/64th will give enough time for, say, a transient of a snare to come through, or in this case the transient of the piano itself. The reason I do that, it doesn't dull your transients, it gives you the initial impact, and it gives you the real feel of this sound has happened and then the reverbs come in. But equally, it's perfectly in time with everything else. It happens in a rhythm, and that makes a difference. So again, let's sort of mimic what we've got going on here, but we'll just play around with the plug-in delay. I'll just do this roughly somewhere around there, and then the roll off sort of up there. That'll do. Okay, now if we bring this up to around the 21 marker, hear the difference that you get the transients on the piano beforehand. In the mix, it might barely be noticeable, but it does have an effect when you've got everything working in that same way. You could do similar things with delays as well and working out the times of them there. Other than that, it's really listen to what it is that you're doing and play around with it. Let's get this on the right timing. My one there's a little bit longer, but makes a difference. Let's give this one an exaggerated time and then swap between them in the mix, and you'll be able to hear the difference it makes. So this is mine and how I've modeled it and made it sound how I like it. And that's with too much room time. See how much more defined the piano becomes? I've adjusted no levels or anything like that, it's just the timing of it and how it fades out within the beat. Guys, I hope that's been helpful to you. It's a nice little tool that you can use within Logic to work out all sorts of timings. I use it for working out reverb, working out delays, sometimes even compression. I know most of the timings for my genre now, so the 21 milliseconds is a great attack time for a compressor. You can go around the sort of 87 marker for a release, which is 1/16 up here. It's just things to play around with, but using around these parameters is going to help you get a much tighter sound. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.